This is Josh Friedman inside the National Palace of Culture in Sofia, Bulgaria, where the European Union Western Balkan Summit is currently wrapping up. Over the past 2 days, although mostly today, the EU was holding a first in 15 years summit that was intended to bring the 6 countries in the Western Balkans, they being Serbia, Montenegro, Macedonia, Albania, Bosnia, and Kosovo. Kosovo, which gets an asterisk next to its name because of the lack of consensus about recognizing Kosovo's independence. But anyway, the aim of this event was to bring these 6 countries closer to the European Union, and all 6 of these countries are trying to join the European Union, but at the conclusion of this event, I don't know if any of them feel that they will be joining the EU sooner than they had previously hoped for, or whether they'll be joining the EU at all, or any time in the near future. So currently, as it stands, as I've covered in recent weeks and months, the EU has a target date of both Serbia and Montenegro joining the Union in 2025, and the other 4 countries are lagging behind, with Macedonia and Albania in the next tier, and Bosnia and Kosovo right now they're long shots to join the EU, or at least they're not expected to join anytime in the near future. Now, coming into this event, there are 2 major regional conflicts or disputes, whatever you want to call them, that need to get resolved in order for several of these countries actually to make their way into the EU. And these 2 disputes are the dispute between Serbia and Kosovo over the status of Kosovo, and what's called the name dispute over the name of Macedonia, which is actually a dispute between Macedonia and EU member Greece. Now, today there were a couple developments with both of those issues. On the Macedonia issue, there was a meeting here in the National Palace of Culture between the prime ministers of Greece and Macedonia, Alexis Tsipras of Greece and Zoran Zaev of Macedonia, and they came away from the meeting saying that they are very close to resolving the name dispute. They may have even among themselves agreed upon a name, but now they need to go back to their respective constituencies and governments and countries and try to sell them on that, if they have even agreed on a name. There has been some talk of a deadline, I think self-imposed by Zaev, to resolve the name dispute by the end of June. There have also been other dates floated as far as deadlines go, but this has been an issue going on for a long time, although it might be really getting close to being resolved now. However, complications could certainly arise, and it is definitely not resolved yet. On the Serbia-Kosovo matter, there was not really such a meeting between the presidents, who are really the 2 guys calling the shots in both Serbia and Kosovo. On the Serbian side, that's Aleksandar Vucic, and on the Kosovo side, that is Hashim Thaci. Most of the speculation today was not whether they were going to have some grand meeting and put to rest their issues, but whether they were merely going to shake hands. And they actually did, albeit it wasn't in a photo op handshake format that the way Zaev and Tsipras did it. This was at the end of the Western Balkan leaders and the EU signing some agreement. There were brief handshakes between pretty much all the leaders, and toward the end of that, Thaci went up to Vucic and they shook hands briefly, which I've recorded and I've already posted the footage of that in a separate video. Now, what actually got accomplished at this event? So if no countries were given the nod to join the EU or given the nod to join the EU in some expedited time frame, what all happened? This was a big event, lots of people here. The top EU executives were all here. There were people representing major institutions worldwide here. The head of the World Bank, for instance, and obviously the heads of government or head of state for the 6 Western Balkan countries that are trying to join the EU, they were all here. In fact, some of them were represented both by their heads of state and heads of government. I think that was the case for both Serbia and Kosovo. Well, there were a few agreements. There was some deal signed today on the construction of a gas interconnector between Serbia and Bulgaria. You might not think that is such a big deal when it compares to the broader issue of resolving ethnic conflicts in the region and bringing these countries into the EU, but that deal was signed in front of the cameras, in front of the press. There were also a variety of agreements between the EU and Western Balkan leaders on issues largely having to do with infrastructure, other infrastructure issues in the region. The theme of this event was connectivity, which is this word that they used a very broad, ambiguous definition for. Which they're talking about digital connectivity. They're talking about infrastructure, building roads, linking various countries, including ones that have various disputes, saying that's going to help bring about peace. For instance, they're talking about a peace highway between Niš in Serbia and I believe Pristina in Kosovo, somewhere in Kosovo. They're talking about all kinds of railway links, energy links between the countries, electrical links. So lots and lots of talk about infrastructure, and there have been some agreements actually signed, other stuff they're talking out, and we'll see what unfolds in the coming months and years. But in terms of actual concrete steps taken toward bringing these countries into the European Union, it's very debatable whether that happened. This was a big event for Bulgaria, and particularly Bulgarian Prime Minister Boyko Borisov. He was center stage for all of it, and he was lauding the accomplishments of the event, but it's going to get probably a very mixed reaction in the press as to whether or not this big event with all these people and all this money spent, whether it actually accomplished something. So that's about it. That's a wrap from Sofia, Bulgaria. I will actually be hitting the road shortly to cover an interesting and possibly inflammatory development in the Western Balkans, and I've got still plenty more interview footage to upload, stuff I've already recorded relating to the Kosovo-Serbia issue and much more. So stay tuned. In the near future, there will be plenty of more reports on the Western Balkans. Goodbye for now. Ciao from Sofia.